They don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. When I hop on the beat, I'm gonna be something like an oddity prodigy. Oh my god, he be rocking these beats of modern day Socrates. I'm unlocking the lock with no key. I'm not what they thought I would be. No mockery, fucking to see my cabinet of curiosities. Twilight zone beside my bone. I'm split. I need like 5 mics on inside my dome. There's no lights on. You get what I mean? I'm bye gone. When I write my song, really wanna bite on like snakes. I say, better get pythons. When I write my wrong, despite how long they never wanna break or be bygones. Mind of a comic, always thinking of new material. Out of the box, the way I kill these beats is serial. Even though the verse is hot and blasting through your stereo. They don't really hear me though. 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 They don't really hear me though.
Yeah, it's time to clock in again, hopping the wave, get to the booth, make draws start dropping again, stopping, never been no option, cause my competition been flopping again, topping the 10 best rappers coming out of my city, got them all sobbing again, plotting to win, but I got a question, when is hip-hop gonna start hip-hopping again, Haters mobbing again, shocking to see them all start flocking again. I'm gonna get the mic cocked, but I can't let y'all's blood get on my conscience again. I'd rather fuck your girl and after take the bitch shopping again. And she gonna come back knocking again, sopping wet, gotta start mopping again. Guess they never give a fuck unless I'm popping pills, sipping lean. Y'all say anything so you can cop a deal, so it seem. I've been proud of all my shit, I keep it real, being me. But if I gotta really rap, I shoot to kill, R.I.P. And they don't even know. Been giving y'all this heat, you sleeping and it really show. It's time to wake them up with shit that make the speakers blow. But they don't really hear me though.
They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though.
Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today, because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Mic in hand, ready for deployment. Podcast feels heavy as the ointment. Veteran tales straight from the trenches. Pop culture splices, pulling down the fences. Homefront sit rap, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. Homefront sit rap, voices from the fight. Veterans sharing dark, stepping into light. Real life saga, not some fairy tale. Truth and resilience, never gonna fail. Homefront sit rap, stories that collide. Veterans speaking truth, no reason to hide. Gritty and raw podcast on replay, decoding the past, paving the way. War zone whispers, bullets and bombs. Back to civilian ticking like a time bomb. Medals on the mantle, scars on the mind. Every episode another mystery to find. Legacy 11X, story of Marines. Army anecdotes, Gulf War scenes. Vietnam echoes, Desert Storm sounds. Podcast chronicles, glory and bounds. Homefront sit rap, honesty is core. Veterans laying bare what they endure. From the front lines to the homebound grief. Episodes of grit, grind through the grief.
Welcome everybody to a Sunday edition of Homefront Sitrep. How is everybody doing? Gunny, how are you, sir?
Good, man. Good. Ran some errands today with the wife, got her oil change, went and looked at proposed new vehicles. She had a little bit of stutter going on, and come to find out it was just needed an oil change. So,
Nice.
her car is one of those ones. It's just one of those constant velocity things, and it burns oil once it gets up to the higher mileage. So, they recommend every 7,500 miles for an oil change, and I just back that down to 6. That way it'll, keep with the wear and tear and everything like that. And, trying to bear the cold, man. It's 17 degrees at the house right now is what it's saying. So
Yeah, dude.
how was everything on your end today? I know today was your day for church. This week you went to church.
Yeah. So got up this morning, went to church, woke up to snow-covered ground. Like was not expecting that this morning because yesterday the rain came in and melted pretty much everything except for the big piles that were here from the last storm that we had, and woke up this morning and it was white again. I was like, what the heck, man? So I told the wife, I was like, all right, what are we doing? We going to church? We're not going to church because it froze first because yesterday's temperature started out in the 30s and then it dropped all day. And I was like, it froze, so it melted all that stuff with the rain, and then it froze overnight, and then snow came and put on top of it. And I was like, so what are we doing? Are we going to church? Or are we going to just watch it on TV or
How much
internet?
did you end up with?
We got
Just a dusting
about an inch and a half.
Oh,
Yeah.
It didn't snow here until this afternoon, and it was just a dusting. I mean, light cover on the road, but it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 o'clock when that happened.
Yeah, we got about an inch and a half of snow here, and it was just like, man, I was more worried about the ice underneath of it from the rain and melt from yesterday, and so the temperature was 32 when I got up this morning. And when I was driving here from my buddy's house, it was I think 20 is what the temperature said. So it was been dropping all day. But other than that, man, we're doing great. I had a really good weekend. Other than getting the news that I got to go in and have another knee manipulation done on Tuesday. So that'll make my second knee manipulation, which I'm kind of scared about because if this doesn't work, then they're going to have to open me back up. And I'm just like, oh man, what am I going to do? But it's in the Lord's hands. I just got to, let him take care of it and go that route. I do want to give a big shout out. So our intro video, Joey Berserk, the first guy that's singing, today is his birthday. So happy birthday, Joey. I know him and Ryan, which Theory, everybody knows Theory is a Marine Corps veteran. He's the second guy singing in that song. They've been having a TikTok or Facebook war back and forth today. It was pretty fun to watch them just banter back and forth between, because Joey's getting older now. So right. So it was fun to watch that. But I want to give Berserk a happy birthday shout out. He's an amazing artist. Him and Ryan Theory both. So. But no, so today we got a great guest coming on. And then tomorrow,
guest plural, two of them.
We got two people, two veterans coming on today to tell their story. One is a 4th generation Army. So grandfather served in the military. His dad's dad was in the Army. His dad was in the Army as a wheel mechanic, and he was also in the Army, if I remember correctly. So that's super cool. And then Miss Lacy, she was also in the Wyoming National Guard. So we're going to get their story here in just a few minutes.
It's really cool, and what they're doing, and to have a husband and wife both that served, that are continuing to serve in their community and serve the veterans out in that community too. So I'm excited to hear not only their military career, but how they got started and what they're doing now, and what the future looks like for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, I've seen some veterans that go out and do the homestead life, and to be a homestead, you have to have certain requirements within the law of the state that you live in to be considered a homestead. Whether that's a small business on the homestead or whatnot. So, and then with Lacy and Zach here, that's getting ready to come on, they started a sheep or lamb. I want to say lamb meat that they produce that's USDA certified, and all kinds of good stuff that they got going on the homestead. So
which, I mean, to get that certification is amazing in itself, right? And that just shows that they are producing great grade A meat out at their place.
Yeah, for sure. So without further ado, let's bring up Miss Lacy and Mr. Zach. Let's put them on the big screen. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you guys. How are you?
Wonderful. We're not as cold as you guys out in South Dakota, but we're still pretty cold here.
There's no wind today, so it felt like a heat wave.
I felt like a heat wave.
Even though it's a high of 4, but not too bad.
I guess once you live in the climate for so long, you get accustomed to it. So
Yeah.
in Kentucky, the weather is very bipolar. Like 1 minute it could be super cold, the next minute it could be 60 degrees. So it's very bipolar here in Kentucky. So I can only imagine South Dakota, how the weather is there. Of course, I tell my wife all the time I want to move out to Wyoming or Montana, somewhere out there, because me personally, I like the cold because I can put more clothes on than I can take off in the heat. So that's where I'd like to be. But she's like, we're moving to the beach.
That's a big misconception, though, because we get like 110 during the summertime sometimes, up in the hundreds, all the way down, like 50 below zero. So it definitely is a hardy, rugged country, both Wyoming and South Dakota.
And it's bipolar too, because just a couple of days ago the high was 57, and now we have a high of 4. And then by 8 o'clock in the morning, with the wind picking up, the actual feel is going to be 40 below zero.
Holy cow!
Dude, a 90 plus degree wind shift in the matter of days. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, do us a solid and introduce yourselves. We'll go ladies first.
Hi, my name is LacyJaymes. I'm a South Dakota native. I was born in South Dakota, primarily raised about 20 minutes from Sturgis my whole life. I grew up raising sheep, and my dad had a custom hay grinding business, and he was a butcher. And so I grew to have a big passion for agriculture, is super involved in 4-H and FFA. And I cut meat myself with my dad. And I moved out to Wyoming, and I was a coal miner. So I drove 400-ton haul truck on Main Coal Road out Black Thunder. You can drive at Black Thunder. There's not a single road in the United States that you can't, or the world, that you can't drive on. And then from there, I enlisted in the Wyoming Army National Guard, did my 4 years. Got out due to some medical type reasons, but I really enjoyed my time in the Wyoming Army National Guard. We got to do so much cool stuff. Like under the Obama presidency, like the Wyoming Guard was kind of going through a reconfiguration, so they weren't really sure what they wanted their unit to be. So I got to do like medevac training, got to do sling load training, which I absolutely love. Did some MP training, and then outside of the traditional end-day drill weekends, I got to do honor guard, and I really developed a passion for honor guard. Loved doing it out in Casper, and really getting to know more of the veteran community. And during my time in honor guard, I always saw, like 80-year-old Legion members that would, like, if somebody didn't get full military honors, they would come out and do like the rifle detail for us. And like we said, like be freezing cold or hot, whatever, those guys were always out there. But I loved my time in the Wyoming Guard, and then came back home and started having a family. And this is my husband, Zach.
Yep. So I'm not from South Dakota. I'm from Georgia, born and raised in a small town, Noonan. So grew up, it was about 33,000 people. And now I live in a town of 70. So it's a little bit different. But having to get climatized. So I started out in the military. I joined the active duty Army February of 2011. Signed up to be a forward observer or a fire sports specialist. So the recruiters have cool videos they showed you, so they kind of snagged me on that. So I went to Fort Benning, or Fort Moore now, for basic training. Went to Fort Sill for 6 weeks for AIT, for artillery training. Everybody got their duty lists after that. So me and a couple guys got sent to beautiful Fort Bliss, Texas, 5 minutes north and touching the border to Mexico. And so that was a pretty big culture shock. But I got attached to a light infantry unit. It's a historic unit called Able Company. So it's the 41st Infantry. So got a lot of brothers that do some social media and some other stuff too. So if any of them are listening, so shout out to my Able Company brothers. So then from February to going to basic to getting to Fort Bliss in July, I went straight to Afghanistan in September of that same year. So did 10 and a half, 11 months in Afghanistan. Half the deployment was quick reaction force for Olive Brigade. And then the other half, we were given our own COP to hold our own area of operations and kind of put up a defense position and attack position for the most part. Very mountainous where I was. And then got back from overseas. Then Lacy and I kind of started talking. She'd come down to El Paso, visit me. Then I would come up to South Dakota one time, and then we would kind of meet in the middle in Colorado. Then I was getting ready to get out. I didn't really want to go back to Georgia, and figured I wanted to settle down with Lacy and kind of start a life, have kids, and kind of get a new start in life for sure. My parents and family are still down in Georgia, and they like to come up and visit every so often, but we have 4 beautiful kids together, a boy and 3 girls. And then we set up our homestead from there, and we got settled on our place here in Fruitdale.
Yeah, the first time I brought him home to come to meet my family, we were out sorting sheep on the prairie, didn't even have like a sorting chute or anything. So it was like a bunch of yelling and manhandling sheep. He grew up outside of Atlanta, Georgia. He took me home to his small town, which was like 5 times the size of Suffolk. I was in a complete culture shock, but I told him at that moment, I was like, take it or leave it, run while you can if you want, because you're probably going to get roped into some sheep stuff, because my folks still had sheep. But we ended up being able to purchase the adjoining homestead next to my folks' place and bought out my parents' sheep herd and took and leased the ground. If it wasn't for my parents and having really good quality livestock to start with, I don't know how we would have gotten started in agriculture, because it's so expensive unless you inherit a large property or the equipment to go with it. Each panel, each water trough, everything costs money, and it's very difficult for young ag entrepreneurs to want to get started in agriculture. So that also is partly why we wanted to get back to the ag community, because we knew how hard it was when we decided to get started in agriculture.
But you also had a little bit of a leg up because your family had done it for so many years.
Yes.
So you kind of had a leg up on it. So you give back now to the community, whether it's veterans or somebody who's wanting to become, start an ag. How do you go about giving them a kind of like a head start or something of that nature, and in what you do?
So every year, we've started doing a breeding livestock sale in September. This year, I believe it was September 19th. During that time, we have spent quite a bit of money like advertising in advance. We try and make sure to try and get the word out that we offer a 15% veterans discount, and that is all our lamb meat, any of the produce or crops, cut flowers we raise out here, and breeding livestock. One of the things that we became a little bit frustrated with when we started working with farm services, but FSA, was they wanted us just to go to the sale barn and just buy whatever walked through the door. And that is setting up yourself for failure, because like we talked to you about the extreme weather conditions out here, South Dakota, especially West River. We're in a drought every so many years. If you don't invest in good quality livestock, you're going to end up in a world of hurt. You're going to have a bunch of, high death rates. They might not breed back. You might have, weird lambing ratio. You're going to have a lot of vet bills, etc. So a couple of years ago, I actually had battle buddy of mine, he texted me and he said, hey, one of the other guys in Wyoming Guard, his kids are getting into 4-H. Do you have anything for sale? And I was like, actually, I do. And that's kind of how we got started in trying to support young veterans and their families.
Yep. And we've just been going with word of mouth. And Lacy's been on social media. She does all of our marketing for us. Website's been up on Facebook's been up for a while. So she does a lot of our marketing, stuff like that. But yeah, we get back to the veterinarian all year long with that 15% discount. We reach out, keep in contact with friends, keep word of mouth. I have friends across the United States that are willing to buy lamb meat from us. So we're going to get on Shippo and keep using that to help move stuff around and with our meat. And then, yeah, like what Lacy was saying, you're already getting into a market that's been established for hundreds of years. And if you get something from the sale barn, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know what diseases are out there. So you could come up with a bunch of sheep that only have one baby instead of ones that have 2 or 3. Your death loss could be crazy because they're not strong. You just really, there's so much versatility to it. And I've had to learn all that from Lacy and her family. It's been very nice because our homestead we have is just at 5 acres. And so we lease Lacy's parents. So,
and that's part of it too, is sharing knowledge. Like I've been fortunate that I've been raised in this, but even I have somebody I can go to and be like, hey, I'm having this problem, or I'm seeing this. Maybe I'm seeing a bunch of single lambs being born this year than twins. There's somebody out there that can help you with your program to make you be more successful. Like my family is predominantly National Guard and agriculture in South Dakota. Like my cousin Paulie, he feeds out cattle and all of that. He's big into the Legion and polo. Polo's even smaller than Fruitdale. And, they all band together to try and help one another. And that's what we're also trying to create here is, a group of veterans that continues to look out for each other. Because after you leave the military, that's really something that you're missing is kind of your support network. So
yeah, we talk about that quite a bit here on the show, that camaraderie that we had in the military. When we get out, a lot of times we lose that camaraderie, and that's where we have to find our people and build that camaraderie back up. And then we also talk about all these different veteran service organizations, that 22 a day. I'm gonna put air quotes up, 22 a day, because we all know that number is skewed. To help eliminate that 22 a day, all these organizations have to work together. And if they don't work together, then that 22 a day is going to get much bigger than what they say. So I like the fact that you guys are saying, hey, we want to work with these other veterans in the ag business just to build that community to help one another. For one, if you're very experienced, and then you got your buddy that's just now getting into it, and he comes up to you and says, hey, my sheep, something's wrong with my sheep, I need y'all to come look and see if y'all can figure out what it is. Or he can explain it over the phone, and you can be like, all right, this is what you need to do. You need to get some antibiotics or whatever you need for the sheep. That's amazing, because that just shows the servant heart that you guys have by willing to share your knowledge with other people within the community that you guys are building. That just says a lot about you guys, about your hearts.
In general, like just talking about mental health in the veteran community. And in the veteran ag community, it is so important. And a lot of these farms and ranchers, these ag guys have to suck it up and suck it up and suck it up. And it's the same in the military. And the suicide rate among people in ag can be very similar. And then you already take a veteran who came back and is dealing with PTSD, not to get political, but like this is a prime example. We had a really hot land market for a couple of years, which did set us up when but then all fell through the floor when they lifted sanctions and stuff like that. So like when we were doing a conventional ag model, and we were taking our fat lambs to the sale barn, making like $200 a lamb, whatever. You were only getting like $30 for an old ewe. And that cycle just kept perpetuating. I mean, it really caused a lot of young ag people to leave agriculture. They had no choice. They were losing their homes, like all kinds of stuff. Like here in South Dakota, we're the sheep capital of the world. A lot of those MREs that you guys were eating or hot A's and stuff, they were actually, the United States Army has huge contracts with sheep producers in the United States. And so they go in and buy lamb and whatnot. But, you know,
Yeah, like the old green scratchy blankets from basic training.
Yeah.
100% wool. So
uniforms, all of that. They had huge contracts with sheep producers in the United States. And then, you know, the market just really fell again, much similar to like what it did in the 80s. And you don't have that community, people that are willing to work with you on payments, or like if you don't have a huge operating note, or like sharing knowledge, or hey, I can't afford to pay a hired hand, will you come out and help me shear and I'll help you do this? You know, that's the kind of thing that's really needed, especially in the veteran ag community.
yeah,
So,
for sure. And that's part of the being the homestead is helping other people out.
mhm.
If somebody's up the road has has corn that they're growing, and this year our corn didn't do so good, I mean, we could trade them a different garden product or some of our meat for some vegetables. I mean, it's really awesome, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. And then I guess I'll take the opportunity now to one of the programs that I got hooked up with is the Farmer Veteran Coalition. So I took a 2-hour mental health course from them, because veteran community and farmers are some of the top 2 suicidal employments, some jobs. So, and the Farmer Veteran Coalition, so it's not farmers who have been veterans in farming for a while. It's all military veterans that join this coalition. So it was pretty good to go through that 2-hour mental health course to do that and kind of learn some of the statistics in there, like the 22 a day, and learning that farmer community, because it does take a hard person to do some farming. So I definitely had to learn that. There's some guys like an 80-year-old man, just neighbors to us. He's one of our mentors. He served in the military and he's still out there, has some sheep up there and still does stuff. So
Yeah, it's super cool. He goes to the VA on a work need, and he'd be like the first person that would help anybody. And so we've had really good mentors in our life. But just even beyond breeding livestock, I started to have a lot of health problems after I got out of the guards, especially, I guess, one real huge push for me to start consuming more of our own lamb meat was I dealt with like pernicious anemia, and started really looking at the benefits of lamb meat. There's so much, there's omegas, different kinds of iron. I mean, it's lean but flavorful. And so I started developing a more intense passion already for homegrown meat, and started working with our neighbor Kids and Family Farms up the way. They've been they're not veterans, but they've been very crucial to the US Lamb producer, and they do retail meat. I used to go work the farmer's market with her, and she really mentored me, and she pushed me. She was like, go, you have wonderful quality product, go do the retail lamb market. And that's when we kind of started branching off into the retail lamb market. We do drive about 3.5 hours to Wyoming to have our lamb slaughtered in Hot Springs at Bear Mountain Beef, and they do a wonderful job. They have a super clean facility. They've completely listened to what our customers want, and they're also a veteran employer, and they've really supported, especially my friend from the Wyoming Guard and his family. So we've been super impressed. They've told us it makes you feel good and makes all the hard work worth it when they tell us that, you know, we're able to keep like 98% of our organs pass inspection, which is fairly unheard of. That means the health of the animal is so good. And, you know, we're able to bring a healthy, nutritious, US grown product to people in our community. So,
Yeah, that's phenomenal right there. I mean, I grew up on a farm, all the way all the way up until I was 16, 17 years old, and I remember taking beef cattle to, you know, to get butchered, and the process of, you know, them seeing what was viable, what's not viable, and stuff like that. You know, I think back then in the late 80s, early 90s, you know, I think 75% was the highest rated, like for organ wise and stuff like that, when you took your cattle in there. I can only imagine with sheep, you know, the process that they got to go through. And I want to piggyback off of something you said a while ago about um, being a homestead and bartering with your neighbors that are other homesteaders, because a lot of people don't understand, and don't really understand the homestead life. Um, when you're a homesteader, and like you said, you know, your corn didn't grow this year, well, you got something to trade with your neighbor. Whether it's, you know, hey, I got a buttload of lumber back here that could help you build a barn that I'm not using right now, or I got, you know, 10 rows of lettuce that I'm not using, you know. So that's the thing with being a homestead. You can share your resources with other homesteaders, and then that's what makes the community viable, because everybody leans on each other. And if you're a homesteader and you haven't got into, I know there's coalitions for homesteaders out there, because Kentucky has one. Kentucky, I think it's the Kentucky Homesteaders Coalition or something. I forget what it's called. But if you're not in a coalition from where you're at, whatever area you're in, definitely get into it, because that's how homesteaders survive. One of my favorite TV shows is Homestead Rescue with the Rainies out of Alaska. And just watching what they do, you know, the Rainies do, you know, they live in Alaska, but they come down here and rescue all these homesteads here. And it's just amazing to follow the journey of homesteaders and see, you know, how they survive from year to year, and doing the barter system and stuff like that. And so when, all right, let Zach, when you were growing up and you joined the military, did you ever think you would be in South Dakota on a sheep farm?
No, I had no idea. I grew up with one cat and one dog, and houses that were probably 50 feet away from each other. You had like a line of lilacs, and that separated the neighbor's house. Backyard had a privacy fence or chain link. So yeah, I would not have thought about South Dakota ever.
Man, I could only imagine the culture shock, because I'm from Kentucky, so I can imagine, because I've been to Georgia several times, and you know, it's similar to Kentucky, but also very different from Kentucky. And then here you are now in South Dakota. I can only imagine the culture shock.
Yeah, there's some there. And I know I still hate cold water. They have lakes up here. They're like, oh, let's go swimming during the summertime, and you jump in, it's probably 55 degrees, 60. So it's nothing like Georgia and Florida.
They all spring fed and glacier fed and everything up there, like the water runoff. And yeah,
exactly. It's huge. And then the people are super nice up here too. So that's been really, really good. Racially and ethnically, it's pretty diverse and different here as well. I grew up with a larger African American culture, and ethnicity down there. And then up here, got a lot of more the Native American Indian culture here, which is pretty cool. And we have museums that I've gone to learn about all of it up here and things that they do. And then there's a lot of Native American farmers out there too. So it's different, that's for sure.
And my knowledge of Homestead comes from Little House on the Prairie and Bonanza. You know, the reruns of all that. That's all I know. I grew up in Maine, about I don't know 38 miles north of Bangor. So you know, almost dead center in the state geographically. Population wise, we were in northern Maine, and now I'm here in northern Kentucky near Cincinnati. So I mean, that's all I know. I mean, we grew up and we had our garden, and you know, we didn't have cattle. I had dogs. That's, you know, my mom wouldn't let us have cats because they're dirty, right? At least that's what she said. Now my wife's a veterinarian technician, and we have dogs and cats. But yeah, you know what you guys are doing out there is truly amazing. And for you to leave everything you know and born and raised with to go up there, not only learn, you know, the homestead life, but to dig into the history of the area and get to know what, you know, was thriving back in the 50s and 60s, and watching seeing the transitions and the growths, and maybe some of it stayed the same, you know, and you know, especially with Lacy and her family being there, and you know the things that they've experienced. So yeah, I applaud you for going up there, because I don't know if I could do it honestly.
Yeah, it's weird, but I know growing up too, my dad wasn't an avid hunter. I mean, we came up, we went pheasant hunting one time, and that was about it. We never went deer hunting, didn't shoot a whole lot. My dad just kind of fell away from that a little bit, I guess. But yeah, moving up here was pretty cool. I mean, learning about butchering our own livestock, butchering animals. We raise feeder pigs. We got 4 outside right now that are getting fattened up, and going to butcher them here in the next few days as well to fill our freezer, go to Lacy's parents and my parents and my brother back down in Georgia.
Nice.
But learning everything from the sheep from the hooves up, learning how to shear, learning about medications, feed, everything. It's been pretty interesting.
But there's so many skills that veterans possess that can make you successful. Sometimes it's better to have somebody with no agriculture or livestock experience than to have somebody who has bad experience, that's impatient, etc. Being consistent with feeding times, doing the right thing every time, no matter if anybody's looking at you, being persistent, sucking it up. Those are all things that you have to make it. If you don't, you're not, you know, sadly. But it was cool because when Zach got out of the military, you know, he was able to come up here and work for the VA, and he was out at Black Hills National Cemetery for years before he switched over to Fort Meade. And that's been really good for our family because, you know, without, you know, the insurance and stuff for the kids, the federal benefits, it'd be awful hard for our family. So I won't sugarcoat it. You're not going to probably get rich.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a good line.
Now, do you still work for the VA right now?
Yeah. So I spent 9 years out at the National Cemetery burying our nation's veterans. I buried over 2,500 of our local veterans and veterans across the US. So I did headstones and I did burials out there, groundskeeping, mowing, trimming, everything. Then just wanted to get away from the laboring a little bit more. So I'm over at the Fort Meade Hospital now. So I'm actually was looking at it for a while, but I joined the police department over there. So I'm a law enforcement officer at our VA.
Nice. Yeah, I was at the VA hospital. Today's Sunday. I was there yesterday morning, and I was speaking with some of the police officers there that were, you know, on premise. Of course, it's a Saturday. Usually the VA is dead on a Saturday. There's not a lot of people there, but there was actually quite a bit of people there yesterday. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I got a degree in criminal justice because I was going to be a police officer, because being infantry, there's not much you can do, job wise, when you get out of the military, other than most of the time go as a police officer, corrections, or something of that nature. So I got a degree in criminal justice, and that's something that I've always thought about doing, was maybe possibly getting a job at the local VA as a police officer or something of that nature. But uh, not yet. Not yet. I'm still wavering on that decision. So,
Well, there's no age cutoff, and those federal benefits are great. You join the VA. We have a lot of retired guys that came from other law enforcement, but for the federal jobs at the VA, if you come work federal for 5 years, then you can opt to have that insurance for the rest of your retirement. So that's a big benefit
wow.
to when you get older. Those guys
Heck
come
yeah.
to retire.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's amazing. So that gives you a little extra added income, like when you got a harsh season of growing sheep and stuff. That gives you that little extra cushion to kind of rely on. Because I know a lot of homesteaders out there, their only income is what's on the homestead. So that's amazing that you guys, have your for 1 year your insurance and stuff through the VA. Then you have a little bit of cushion with the money coming in from the VA as well. That's amazing. So I know a little bit about this. I don't know a whole lot. One of our good friends, Tab, she's with the USDA in DC. Um, she said there's all kinds of programs out there for veterans to get into farming and stuff like that. When you started your homesteading journey, did you go through the USDA through their programs, or?
Not when we initially started. And, so the first in 2017, I don't think we got our first USDA anything until 21, maybe, or 22. So it's
Yeah.
kind of rough.
Yeah, it was right around when COVID was going on, before our youngest was born.
And that's right when kind of the sheep market started taking more of a dive with that. So for years and years, we didn't have an operating note or anything. But then we did start working with FSA and the USDA. So
Yeah, so we started talking to them, looking for more financing. So we wanted to expand. So we went to our local FSA office, Farm Service Agency, and looked at loans. So we wanted to try to get some more of a certain breed of sheep. So we did a term loan to start off with. So we went in there, talked to them, let them know that we're veterans and we're first beginning farmers. So there's two different things to that. So the beginning farmers has its own loan, but being a veteran also gives you kind of like preference points or an additional boost for that.
I think our term was longer, like spaced out longer. So that was a huge advantage, so that our payments would be lower for that. But that was a huge qualifier for that. So we did get special stuff from veterans term loan.
Yeah, we did. And then USDA also offers they have a military spouse program. So they have big things for women and other minority races as well. They have special programs for them. They have a military veteran agricultural liaison. So they have somebody that could be in your area that will mentor to you as a military veteran to get in there to be able to start up farming and start up homesteading or anything like that as well. And then the USDA also, as a federal branch, has a veteran employment program. And so it has that. And then the USDA also offers, they have 40 different loans and grants and technical assistance programs all together to be able to help out farmers and beginning farmers. And then, the beginning farmer program also helps. They also have a couple different supporting partners. It's ATTRA. They provide sustainable farming internships and apprenticeships. So they offer online classes, in-person classes. They offer like 2-day workshops, week-long workshops that veterans can come in and learn how to do some of the farming, learn more of the technical things, and go from there.
Yeah, because I also do like floral arrangements. I did it more full time, but I did event planning, that kind of stuff for a while, and kind of geared and honed in. So we do cut flower farming now as well, and I make arrangements and take them to the market and do flowers and funerals and that kind of stuff. But what's cool is through this USDA is like I went and did a cut flower farming, basically school or class. It was a couple of day long class, was zero cost to me whatsoever. Knowledge sharing, networking, all this kind of stuff. USDA, speaking of more urban agriculture, they are using like our place here in Butte County to kind of look more into micro ag type stuff, because like I said, when we first started, they wanted us to run, like 120 head of ewes out here and do conventional ag and just like sale barn. I'm like, no, that's not our program. We want to raise supreme breeding livestock and retail lamb, plus our other homestead stuff, make the most money off of our small acreage. We're not 3,000 head sheep on billions of acres. There's so much more stuff now for urban ag and grants and all this stuff that veteran farmers could do in town. You could inoculate some lawns and grow elegant mushrooms and do farm to table. You could do all kinds of stuff. And there is a program out there for you as a veteran. But the problem is you don't know about it. Yeah. That's a lot of it. You don't even know these things exist. And they're kind of like technical language, writing grants and stuff like that. So finding somebody who's a good FSA agent or whoever to help guide you through that, kind of like a veteran service officer. You're getting hooked up with the USDA. You find a good caseworker, whatever you want to call them, for you. If you don't like that person, you don't owe them anything. If they're not working for you, then go find another one. That would be my advice to all you young people, all the young people out there, people first time ag. But there's so much anymore that you can do in agriculture.
Yeah. But if you're interested as a veteran, so they have a website that USDA goes for. So USDA has their veteran email. It gets you to a liaison, I believe. So it's veterans@usda.gov. veterans@usda.gov. So that email address will get you hooked up with somebody, and hopefully they'll get you going in the right direction to start your farm or anything like that. So that'll be really helpful. And they do have urban grants, and it's actually very diverse on what USDA can do.
They like to stay away, from my knowledge, dairy animals. For some reason. I mean, the dairymen had a big deal like in the early 2000s, at least here in South Dakota. A lot of our small time dairies went away, and that's still an area I think that has a lot to be desired within the USDA. But
yeah, I know they do beekeeping is a big one. I actually know a veteran that does beekeeping, and it's a little bit harder than you would think, but that's something that they could do in an urban area. Rooftop gardens is one thing it mentioned as well. And then there's a veteran on the USDA website. It talks about a veteran in Oregon. So he decided that there was a lot of food waste in this area. So he created a worm farm. So he has these worms that'll biodegrade all this extra food and stuff in the area and be able to supply back from doing that.
Yeah, I knew about the bee farming. I think Sam, didn't you say something about you knew somebody that did bees?
Yeah, I knew somebody that did the bees, and then I did learn about the rooftop, because a lot of the veterans that are living in like the LA, the New York, like the bigger cities that don't have a lot of space, but they can do like a raised bed type thing. So I did know about that as well. But yeah, I met a guy, it was probably last year or the year before, that was doing the bees, and he told me about the grant and everything that he was getting. And you know, he was going somewhere, I think, out you guys' way to learn about, you know, the ins and outs of being a beekeeper, and you know, weather and temperatures, and you know, all the craziness that goes along with it. Certain flowers that produce certain honeys, and yeah, too technical for me.
Yeah, I know there's a, like, depending on the type of pollination, that's the type of honey that you're going to get, and it's definitely crazy. So let me ask you this. This is just going to be a fun question for you guys. How many different animals are on the homestead?
You start saying the dairy.
All right. So we have 6 dairy goats and 3 or 2 dairy boys that breed later. So we milk those. Our kids help milk them too. So then we also have a Jersey dairy cow. Now we milk twice a day at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So she gives about 5 gallons of milk, and then each goat gives about 2 quarts or so or more.
Depending.
Yep, depending on how they're eating, how they're doing, where they're at in their cycle. So then we have, those are our dairy animals.
No, we've got so everybody made fun of me, but my best friend from Wyoming, she has a micro dairy. Somebody called me and they're like, they're selling dairy sheep at the dairy at the sale barn. And I was like, don't even let me bring my checkbook out and pick up. I looked right at her and said, don't you dare let me buy these dairy sheep. Well, I came home with, I think it was 3 bred dairy sheep, and they lay up. So I was like, what are you doing? But they lambed, and you know, they were able to raise their own twins and raise some bums and raise a calf. And so we've got dairy sheep as well. We've had some Polish friends that really like to make manchego cheese, like from the milk. But mainly it's so we don't have to buy milk replacers. So we raise our own orphans and all of that. And then we've got chickens, and we've got quail, and we've got our sheep. We had beef cattle for a little bit. We usually feed out, you know, a steer or 2, and then we feed out some pigs every year, and we butcher them for ourselves. So, and dogs. We've got Great Danes, and we've got a mutt dog. Tildy's actually a really good mutt dog, but she's a Bernese Mountain Dog, Golden Retriever, Pyrenees mix.
Oh God. Okay.
Man,
Another big dog. So y'all have no sheep herding dogs at all?
No, there's a lot of work to a sheep herding dog, and they got to keep on working. So having all the livestock, having kids, it is a lot of work. And we've had one before, but he ended up not being able to get trained.
Well, the problem is like if they're not constantly working, like we're a small operation, they tend to get in trouble.
Okay.
They get bored.
People with livestock around us and stuff, and it can be like I said, more of a hassle.
Okay. Now,
They got 4 kids. That's their sheep herders right there, Willis. Come on now.
True.
We do. We homeschooled on and off. We just put the 2 younger girls in Catholic school, so it's a little weird. So we all got to get up way early.
Yeah.
But all these animals, they really work well together because we graze in tandem, and they help support each other and support our family. So it's good for our grazing program as well, not just to have one species.
Yeah, no,
So-
I had that question earlier when you were talking about, you know, they're dropping 1 lamb instead of 2. Is that a weather issue, a parental issue, a feeding issue, a number of different things?
It can be all kinds of stuff. So we have to keep really good records. And when we go to cull, get rid of something, we will look at, you know, has you consistently only raised a single? Well, if they're both the same body conformation, nothing wrong with either one of them, I'm going to pick the one that raises a twin or a triplet and the one that raises a single every time. But it can be passed down. Like when we go by our bucks, our rams, from like Kitsons, we buy one that was a twin because genetically they can throw that. However, if they don't have the right mineral, if they don't have the right feed, they might not even breed back. And if they do breed back, they might only carry a single because their body can't feed a twin. And certain breeds are more apt to, have like polypay sheep. They're smaller, shorter sheep, but they almost lamb twice a year and they have litters of lambs. But those litters of lambs, it takes like 2 lambs to equal one of our lambs. So they're not really gaining anything, you know what I'm saying? In that aspect. But yeah, you have to be a good herdsman, just like the human body. If they're stressed, if you're out there yelling and screaming at them, you're not giving them fresh water, good feed, you're not, worming them and, parasites. You guys deal with parasites so much more down there just because of your climate, but you're not doing all those things right, you're not going to have a good crop. And that's what I feel like, people who are like PETA people or whatever, I'm like, these animals are physically not going to produce for you if you're not treating your animals right.
Yeah.
You are not going to have a successful lamb crop or have a good carcass. You're just not. You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. And it's very evident when you start doing more like what we do, because we work the farmers markets. We see the faces of our customers. We can ship lamb all over the United States, but like we take a lot of pride in the product we produce. A lot of times when you guys see lamb in the grocery store, like at Safeway or whatever, you're seeing like New Zealand lamb, and they run those sheep for like 3 years. So they shear them for 3 years. Technically, legally, it's a mutton. It's not even a lamb.
Right.
And our lamb is all butchered at just under a year, right around like 150 pounds or less. And that really changes the flavor. A lot of people think they don't like lamb, but they haven't even eaten real lamb.
It's because they've had the mutton.
Which is like eating an old cow or a bull or whatever.
Or oh dear, yeah.
So it's going to have a heavier, gamier, more robust flavor, which some ethnicities really like the Arapaho, Yeah, we will feed out mutton. We'll do custom orders, but we're a true lamb operation around here. We're trying little baby lambs. Like I said, they're right around, 12 months, right around in there, 11, 12 months. When we go to butcher, we do grass fed, grain finished, especially here in South Dakota. Everybody has their own beliefs on that, but we sprinkle a little grain at the end. It makes a really nice, well marbled, great flavor carcass. So
Put that fat on there a little bit for them. And
you want a little bit, you want a little bit. And a lot of it too, I'll have to just completely continuously brag about our butchers. Everybody from the person that, we get our feed from, etc. We can't be successful without them because, lamb is a treat to a lot of people. And so it needs to look nice. It needs to be packaged nice. It needs to last in the freezer. So, that's important, but it was pretty cool because speaking of programs that we didn't really know about, our neighbor Gwen Kitson, the lamb lady, she put us in for the USDA LFPA program. And so what it does, and it's just an awesome program. It buys product from local producers in your area. They buy like cheese, eggs, all kinds of vegetables, meat, whatever, and then it gets distributed into your community. So you can become a part of this. I don't know if the grant's still going to carry on further into 2025, but I hope so, because it's an awesome, like if you're going to subsidize ag, then you could be helping like a fellow veteran or whatever. And then there's veterans in our community that can come. You don't have to have there's no eligibility standards. You just show up when they're distributing this food and they put together like a care package. Like it'll have eggs, usually cheese, some sort of vegetable, and then a protein in there. So I was really happy to be a part of that program and actually see the meat that we raise helping like families in South Dakota. And they bought a bunch of lamb roasts. USDA bought a bunch of lamb roasts from us and sent it to the Women Against Violence shelter in Rapid, which sadly, a lot of female veterans end up in some places like that. So that was really just a cool program to be a part of. We got to go down there and help package up like the care packages and hand them out to people and stuff like that. So
awesome.
Cool program.
Well, I'm going to share this screen because this is what you sent me. This is the farm fresh lamb. It's got the ground lamb, $12 a pound, sausage, $15 a pound. Down at the bottom, it says whole custom lamb orders, contact for more. Got your phone number and email address. And it's also got upcoming butcher dates for you guys. So the best for somebody to get in contact with you that say they want lamb in Kentucky or up in Maine, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you is either phone number or via the email?
Yep, that's right. So phone number, email, just go into the Facebook page. That helps the most, obviously. And liking, sharing, following, that's how we get out there, get word of mouth. And we'll offer 15% to anybody that hooks up with us, and we'll ship it out.
Yeah, he's a veteran. Like I said, we can ship all over the United States. That's the biggest reason why we pursued going USDA inspected, so that we could ship all across the United States and work, like the farmers markets and, that kind of thing. So we offer a lot of specials too. Like we'll offer $100 lamb box usually around Christmas, New Year's, St. Patty's Day, so everybody can make their Irish stew, the shepherd's pie, usually around Easter, and then we try and throw one out usually like Veterans Day somewhere in there, 4th of July or something. So I mean, there's some good ways to get like a bundle deal. And then add your 15% on top of that. So.
That's amazing. Well, Lacy and Zach, I want to thank you guys for coming on and hanging out with us. This hour has gone quick. I didn't even realize it was 8:05 until I just looked down. I was like, oh God, okay,
Right.
It's 8:05. But no, you guys are amazing. If you're out there watching this now, if you're watching it later, go follow them on Facebook, TikTok. Where else can people follow you at?
We're on Instagram as well.
Okay.
So
No
Is
website.
everything Peterson 601 Homestead? Is that your handles for everything?
Everything's Peterson 601 Homestead. And then I also started doing a veterans podcast. My passion, long story short, I really think that there needs to be reform for Army National Guard soldiers and that whole community. So I do also have just a personal public page on TikTok called the LacyJaymes. It's on Instagram as well, but more for people who don't care about agriculture. But for our homestead stuff, it's all Peterson 601 Homestead. So we would love to have you guys. A lot of times I have started trying to do lamb recipes and share those because people are afraid of it. But lamb's so easy to cook. It's like cooking a steak or venison, anything like that. So don't be afraid of it.
Awesome. So
no let it rest and cook it. We put it on the grill when it's room temperature. You can't put it on there cold because it doesn't cook right.
No. And we love putting the lamb on the Traeger. Any kind of a smoker, it just makes awesome lamb. So highly suggest that.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I guess, got some of our meat. We just put it on a tray. So it's looks like packaged. So
it lasts a long time in the freezer. So, and when we mail it, it comes like overnight frozen. So they do a good job.
Heck yeah. No, I love it, and you guys are doing amazing things, and Lacy, I can't thank you enough for stopping and talking to me on TikTok, because that's where I found you at, and to get to know your story, and your husband's story, and how you're giving back to the community. And I'm not going to dive too much into some other stuff that I know, but I want to let you know that you're not alone. And the more you talk about it, the easier it will get. Because it's the same thing with PTS. The more you talk about it, the easier it gets. So you're not alone. There's people out there that can help you if you're ever in need, and you just need to talk to somebody. There is people out there for you for that. Sam and I are here for you, and we know people that we can get you in contact with too as well. So don't be afraid to talk about any trauma that any kind of trauma, because the more you talk about it, the easier it gets. I promise you. But I want to thank you guys, and I can't wait to see your journey. I'm going to share anytime I see anything that you guys post. I'm going to share it out there. Once I get off of here, I'm going to go back to your Facebook page and send out mass invites so people can like your page. And that way we can get you out there, because I think what you guys are doing is amazing. And you're looking out, for one, you're doing it the right way. You're not cutting corners. You're doing it the right way. You want to provide a top quality piece of meat to veterans out there, or anybody out there. So I applaud you guys for that, and I can't wait to see where you go from here.
Yeah, you guys should later email me, both of you guys, somewhere where we can send you some meat samples. You guys
Awesome.
make a steak for your wife or something, make some chorizo and hang out. And so we definitely appreciate you having us on.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being vulnerable, talking about your stories. I mean, I know sometimes it's hard to come in and open up your lives to complete strangers. And I know our listeners and the people that are watching or will watch will greatly appreciate it. And yeah, we're going to support you in any way we can.
Yeah, I'm going to get you on.
You guys are in South Dakota, come hit us up. We'll go to the weekend service and have some.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. When Sam and I start our tour, we're going to get a big tour bus, and we're going to start touring the country. As soon as I get him to retire, we're gonna start touring the country and doing podcast episodes. We're gonna leave our wives at home and just gonna be me and Sam on the road. So
nothing good can happen from that, Willis. Come on.
But no, I'm also going to get you with some other veteran podcasters and have you on their podcast as well, just so we can help spread the word about Peterson 601 Homestead and what you guys are doing. So we appreciate you coming on. If you guys want to hang out in the Patrick O'Malley, who's on LinkedIn right now, says, I heard you say chorizo. I'll be checking your site out soon.
Yes, we have awesome chorizo. It's like our #1 seller.
Yeah,
I think don't you have a package of it down below? Don't you got a package down below there on the?
Yeah, you do. Show it.
Yep. I thought I seen it.
Oh, that's the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
It's awesome. If I can keep my battle buddy Steve from trying to buy it all.
So Patrick, you can go on Facebook, look up Peterson 601 Homestead, Instagram, Peterson 601 Homestead. I also just shared their email, which is, as soon as it pops back up here again, Peterson 601 Homestead d@gmail.com. Phone number to contact them is 605-892-5281 to get in contact with Lacy and Zach to get some of their product. Amazing people, amazing lamb products. So go check them out. Lacy and Zach, thank you again. I'm going to drop you in the green room. You can hang out if you want to. If you got things that you got to go take care of, you can do that as well. But if you want to hang out for a few minutes, we'll talk to you when we close up the show. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. All right, Sam, how cool was that, Gunny?
Man, I tell you, there are so many veterans that get out, go home, start a family, and live their life.
Yeah.
And these two get out, start a family, start a homestead, decide they want to give back to the veteran community, right? But with
Yeah.
15%, I mean, that's a hand up if there ever is one,
Yeah.
right? For some high quality meat. Both still serving the veteran community. You know, Zach working at the VA now as a police officer, but you know, the work he did at the cemetery.
Yeah.
You know, we go to so many cemeteries every year, you know, for me, and you see some of these cemeteries are not taken care of, right? And especially in the veteran section. But then if you go to look at Arlington, you go to Kentucky Cemetery North, they're pristine. And I know just by listening to him and talking to him that cemetery he worked at was pristine. You know, and just, you know, continuing to give back to that veteran community, man, whether they're, you know, still here with us, breathing today, or, you know, it's, you know, the couple thousand that he helped lay to rest in, you know, in the proper way.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, veteran cemeteries, if you ever go to like Arlington or Zachary Taylor here in Louisville or Radcliffe, um, those cemeteries, man, are pristine, which they should be, because our brothers and sisters paid that ultimate sacrifice. And for somebody who gets out of the military, you know, after signing their name on that dotted line to go work at a veteran cemetery, we know how much it takes to make sure that cemetery stays pristine. So that just tells me that his personality to be able to go work on, you know, at a cemetery and lay veterans to rest, that just says something right there about him and his personality.
Well, and
So
keep the grounds too, you know, I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot of work, and it's not a 9 to 5 job, you
no,
know,
it's a full-time job.
it constantly has to be done, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sam, it's that time of night, my friend. You know, tomorrow we got a pre-recorded episode. Tomorrow we're gonna have Soldiers to Sidelines come on.
Yeah.
Harrison Bernstein is amazing. He's not a veteran, but he's so passionate about helping veterans
Yeah.
become coaches. So you're
Great
taking
dude. Great dude. I mean, the programs that they're offering, I took 2 of their coaches seminars last year. The sports performance seminar in April, and then I took the football coaches seminar in May. 2 great programs, and you know they got some more coming up throughout the year that I will be taking. But yeah, I can't wait for that episode to air. A lot of great information put out there, and you know I'm kind of biased because I went through the program, and you know the energy that Harrison has towards our veterans. You know, for him not serving and what he's doing, and him doing it and his staff doing it for free,
Mhm.
dude. It's using your word, phenomenal.
Yeah. So Patrick O'Malley, who's watching on LinkedIn right now, says, I live near Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, 900 acres. I attend wreaths across America every year. Such a great event.
Yeah. I do Arlington every year. There's 8 guys that I served with that are buried there. We lost in 2005, 2006 in Iraq. But then there's also a lot of other family members that I've met for, you know, the Gold Star families, you know, their
Yeah.
family members. And, you know, I try to visit all their markers while I'm there. And, you know, I usually only get to lay a couple of wreaths only because I want to go visit those other markers and let the families know that their loved one's not forgotten.
Yeah. And I want to say something. If you go to a veteran cemetery or any cemetery and there's a veteran grave there and there's a coin on top of that tombstone, leave it there. Don't touch it. There's a reason why that coin is there. I'm not going to go into what each coin signifies, but leave the coin there. Don't touch it. There's people out here that will go to a grave site. Oh, there's a quarter. Oh, there's a dime. Don't touch it. Don't be. There's a reason why that coin's there. So don't touch it. I want to give my brother Toxic Rooster a shout out. Great guy. He's on TikTok as Toxic Rooster. He's got a Facebook group as well called Rooster's Hen House, I believe is what he's called it. So make sure you go give him a follow as well. Vet Nations was just in here. Veteran Nation Foundation. Go give them a follow too. He has all kinds of great content out there, so make sure you go give them a follow. I seen Rich LaMonica. He bumped in here in Misfit Nation, but he never said anything. So, but it's that time of night, Sam. So right now you can find Homefront Sitrep on Reese Across America Radio on Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. The link is www.reaseacrossamerica.org/radio, or you can go to the TuneIn app, Audacity app, or iHeartRadio, search the word Reese and find Reese Across America there. Homefront Sitrep is on Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Easterns. We are proud partners with Reese Across America Radio, Heroes Media Group, Veterans Voice Radio, and Military United podcast streams. Go check them out. They each one of these organizations doing great things. And Sam, this is you right here, my friend.
Yeah, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. There's guys and girls that have gone through the things that you've gone through. They've gone through those similar situations. You can't let the dark days win. You made it through your recruit training. You made it through your follow-on training. You made it through your time of service. Keep your head up. Keep one foot in front of the other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're definitely not alone. And then that leads into this right here. # be someone stranger. And what we mean by that is we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than we are someone we love the most. Like me, for example, for 20 plus years, I've been married to the beautiful lady upstairs. That's my rock, my everything. I will tell a complete stranger things that happened to me in the military before I will tell her, because for one, I want to protect her and my children from my demons. So # be someone stranger. Just listen to somebody. Don't try to fix them. Just listen to them. And like I said, more than likely it's going to be a complete stranger. And then that leads into ask the next hard question. I can run up to Sam, say, "Hey, Sam, how you doing today?" He's going to say, "What are you going to say, Sam?"
I'm good, man. Living the dream.
I'm good. I'm living a dream. I'm hanging in there. I'm okay. But knowing damn well he's tore up inside. So that's where you have to ask that next hard question. Hey, Sam.
Not today, though, Willis. Not today. Because it's been 6 years ago today that I got my wonderful service dog. So
there you go.
Yeah, Miss Echo saves my life every day.
There you go. But more than likely, if I go up to Sam and say, "Hey, Sam, how you doing?" He's going to be like, "Man, I got this going on," or "I got this going on." So you just have to ask that next hard question. And then you have to be ready for that conversation, because it could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a 5-hour conversation. You just have to be ready for it. So like Travis says, he's living a dream. Yeah. And it's crazy. We do things daily with the demons that we face. It's crazy. So I'm gonna play this BetterHelp commercial, and I know people out there that are listening to this on Spotify or Amazon, you can't see this commercial, but it's a very good commercial by BetterHelp. So I'm just gonna play it real quick. Yeah, I've said a couple of those today, especially at church, and last night we were at my daughter's archery competition where she has a personal best in 3D. So she just only started 3D last year. So she got a 266 in 3D out of 300. And then she shot bullseye later that night and got a 270, maybe 271. So she great scores out of 300. And
like a rifle range score.
Yeah. Yeah. And she, I had people ask me, "Hey, how you doing? How's your knee?" And, of course, Tuesday's that day where I have to go back in and have another manipulation done. So my brain is like, man. And then plus I'm supposed to be going back to work soon. So my brain's like, oh man, I need to get this fixed. And I'm stressing out over that. But like you said, I can't let my dark days win. I got to keep pushing forward. So if you're a veteran out there and you are in the process of filing disability, you have a second question, or you want a second opinion, HomeFront Sitrep has a segment. We're partnered with Monica Sanford from the Monica Sanford Show. She's a nurse practitioner down in Florida. She's been working with the VA for a really long time, helping veterans get their benefits. She can point you in the right direction, if not help you get your benefits. You can reach Monica at askmonica0@gmail.com. That's askmonica0@gmail.com. I'm not even going to play that commercial tonight, even though it's a catchy tune. I'm not even going to play it. But it's that time of night, Sam. Like we always say here on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got
your six.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your six.